Welcome to the History Lord. You join us here today, and we're in my house in lovely Warwickshire. And today we're going to be talking all about nursery rhymes. Well, in particular, the history behind certain nursery rhymes. So here are just a few of them. Humpty Dumpty. Now, I think everyone knows this rhyme, but Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Now, most people, when they think of Humpty Dumpty, they think of an egg. Well, Humpty Dumpty wasn't an egg until Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, when it was Alice remarks that Humpty looks exactly like an egg. Not an egg, but looks exactly like one. Now, there's a few suggestions about who Humpty Dumpty was. There's one suggestion that in the Siege of Gloucester in 1643, during the English Civil War, that it was a, how do I put it? It was a sort of like a siege turtle. It was a big thing that you used to try and batter the walls with. Very little evidence of that, and that was only first theoried back in the 1950s. Another theory came to the fore in the 1990s, and that was set in Colchester, in Essex. And it's another siege during the English Civil War. In 1648, the royalist town of Colchester was under siege from the parliamentarians. There were lots of cannons on the town wall, and one of them, believe it or not, had the nickname of Humpty Dumpty. And when they eventually did fire on the city walls and they brought down this cannon, it did shatter into 1,000 pieces. So all the king's horses, the royalists and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. So that's where that one comes from. I'm more inclined to believe the Colchester version of it, even though it didn't come, wasn't put into practice until 1996. Again, this is oral history, and it just get passed down and down and down, and over the years it got changed. There is lots of evidence of the siege of Colchester. There is lots of evidence that cannons were shot off the wall, and because they were cast in iron, they did shatter on the floor. But there you go. So that was it. That's what it alludes to. That's what I think it alludes to. It's the siege of Colchester during the English Civil War in 1648. Would you like my Humpty Dumpty joke as well?
Yeah, why not?
I went to Aldi the other day and I bought an Aldi Humpty Dumpty. And it was so good, I went back the following day for Aldi King's Horses and Aldi King's Men.
Hey!
3 blind mice. Now, if you haven't heard this one, this is a slightly twisted little ditty for the children. This one goes, 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice, see how they run, see how they run. They all run after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a sight in your life as 3 blind mice? Now, this is a bit of a dark one, this is. This again goes back to Queen Mary I of England, Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary.
I know, she's terrible, isn't she? And it's alluded that the 3 blind mice refer to 3 Protestant bishops, the martyr bishops of Ridley, Latimer and Cranmer. Now, they were burned at the stake for heresy, and it's alleged that they were called blind because their blind faith in Protestantism rather than Catholicism led to their demise. So people who argue, but they weren't blinded. That's the reason they were blind to Catholicism and not blinded quite literally. My notes here. Have you ever seen the earliest lyrics talk about harming the 3 blind mice? They were actually published in 1609, so well after Queen Mary had died. But as we all know, these are oral histories that are passed down in time. So that's how it could be interpreted. That it was Queen Mary I, and this was against the Protestant bishops who literally cut off their tails. Goosey Goosey Gander. Now, this is a more obscure nursery rhyme these days, and it goes, Goosey Goosey Gander, whither shall I wander? Upstairs and downstairs and in my lady's chamber. And there I met an old man who wouldn't say his prayers, so I took him by his left leg and threw him down the stairs. Cheery little rhyme, isn't it? Well, it does. This one does have a dark history, and we can go back to the time of the English Commonwealth. So between 1649 and 1660. The Goosey Goosey bit refers to Oliver Cromwell's New Model Army and their march. They were goose-stepping. They used to goose-step as their march, and so that refers to that. A gander refers to, how do I put this politely? Could refer to a pimp. Back in those days, a lady of the night, a prostitute, was referred to as a goose sometimes. There is another video elsewhere referring to the Winchester geese at Winchester Cathedral, Winchester Palace in Southwark. So have a look for that one. But yes, they were referred to as a goose was a prostitute. So therefore, a gander, by inference, was the pimp. Yes, let's go a bit more. Catholicism was frowned upon, as it was now a Protestant country and a rather zealot Protestant country at the time. And so if you wanted to celebrate a Catholic Mass, you had to do so in secret. And so therefore lots of wealthy families invited Catholic priests into their home to say Mass in Latin. If they found out the soldiers were coming, they would try and hide the priests, usually somewhere secure like a priest hole, but sometimes they would put them where they thought the soldiers wouldn't dare to go, in the ladies' chamber, in the ladies' bedchamber. Well, the New Model Army weren't as polite as the old army, and they did go into the bedchamber. Well, there they met an old man who wouldn't say his prayers. That just alludes to the fact that he wouldn't use the English version of prayers. He would use the Latin that the Catholics would use. So I took him by his left leg and threw him down the stairs. Well, left footing was an insult to a Catholic. That goes back to the myth that the Protestants would use their right foot if they were digging something in the earth, whereas the Catholics would use their left foot. In fact, I do believe it's still used as a derogatory term for Catholics in both Ireland and parts of Scotland. Not that I'm advocating anyone to use that term, to call them left legs or left footers. But there you go. So that's it. It was a satirical verse all about Cromwell looking for Catholic priests to persecute and not just throw them down the stairs, but to execute them. So there you go. Another dark one for you to get your teeth into. Oh dear. Well, there you are. That's history behind a few nursery rhymes for you to get your teeth into. Thanks for watching. Do hope you enjoy these videos. And if you do, please subscribe and tell your friends as well. If you want to see what we do outside of these videos, please head on to my old website, which is historylord.co.uk, or have a look at Last Line Films. That's James's YouTube and TikTok channel. And that's also his lovely website as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Take care.